Over on the other side of the mountains to the west of Mexico City is another city, one called Toluca. Here are the stadiums and arenas of Toluca, Mexico. Estadio Universitario Alberto Córdoba. It is built into the side of the hill that the Universidad Autónoma del Estado de Mexico calls home. They've made the most of this topographical situation by building a huge curving terrace onto the steeply sloping earth. There wasn't much room on the other side, so there's a huge disparity in capacity between the two sides of the field. The most notable aspect, though, is of course the colourful mural on the western stand. That was painted by one of the members of the university faculty back in the mid-70s. From the looks of it, it was a professor of pharmacy who had access to large amounts of LSD. It even extends to the facade of the eastern stand to an extent, and the rocky cliff face in the backdrop. Beautiful. Even if it's not your style, I think you can agree it looks a whole lot better than raw concrete. Mexico is known for loving association football, which is probably the main use for this ground. So you might be surprised to hear that this stadium is named after a football coach of the American variety. To be clear, American football coach, who was Mexican. It is of course used for that sport as well. Oh, and not only can you watch the game from atop the aforementioned cliff, but you can also see another stadium up in the distance. A ground that is dedicated solely to the country's favourite form of football. Estadio Nemesio Díez was extensively remodeled a little under a decade ago. That was partially in celebration of the club's 100th anniversary. The development increased the capacity only slightly, but brought the amenities up to 21st century standards. Previously there were many obstructed sightlines, now there are few if any. It's now known by some as the most European football stadium in the country. Whether that's true or not, it's certainly more European than the previous stadium. You wouldn't see that in, maybe you would see it in southern Europe, but certainly not Aberdeen. Another thing that sets this ground apart is that it is one of just a handful of football stadiums in the country orientated east to west. And whilst it may not have a hand-painted mural, this collage of past players and coaches is pretty cool. It also serves the purpose of reminding people sitting in the stands to be grateful. Grateful that the world is no longer in black and white. Other than that, I love the steeply stacked triple-decker stand at one end. It is like that due to room constraints of course, but it makes for a better viewing experience for everyone that doesn't have severe acrophobia, a fear of heights. Not to be confused with macrophobia, a fear of long waits. I know someone with macrophobia. He can't wait to overcome it. Just when you thought we couldn't top the first two, Estadio de Baseball Toluca 80 proves that you were right. It's a baseball stadium in Toluca that was established in 1980, hence the name. There are plenty of advanced modern ballparks in Mexico, this is not one of them. A lot of the capacity is coming from concrete steps. At least they painted it green. Speaking of green, it looks like this place has its own green monster. I'm slightly surprised it's not covered in advertising. Come to think of it, there is a distinct lack of advertising here. Can't see any signage. I guess that's good, but I kinda wanted to see what the official motor oil of the Mexican Baseball League was. Speaking of Liga Mexicana de Baseball, it turns 100 years old in a few months. It's the oldest professional sports league in the country, so happy birthday, I guess. To be clear, Toluca actually only has teams in the affiliated leagues that aren't as prestigious, hence the lackluster amenities. Honourable mentions now. Gimnasio Juan Fernandez Albarrán is the biggest indoor arena in the city, but it's still rather small. I guess it's somewhat fitting because the club that plays here are called the Volcanoes. Velodromo Belém Guerrero is a velodrome with a small capacity, but the facilities look to be in good condition. You know, the cyclists probably won't get a giant splinter through their leg after a crash. Have you seen that video? Whoa, that's gnarly, dude! Estadio de Fútbol Americano Lic Juan Josafat Pichado Cruz. Yes, it snows here. This city is like 1.5 miles above sea level. Ooh, nice hedges. So there you have it. Mexican stadiums always tend to be interesting. I love the University Stadium, but I think I have to choose Estadio Nemesio Díez as my favourite, largely because of the way it is. Thanks for watching, have a good one.